Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another video. And yeah, today we are going to be talking about my experience working as a full-time federal agent. This is my story, and meanwhile I've got little tiny bugs flying above my camera, so that's great. But I will say that a lot of people may not believe me right off the bat. Understandable. I'm pretty young for it. But this is a true story, and yeah, I just wanted to share it with you guys. Currently, I am 23 years old. I was a federal agent when I was 20 years old, up until the point that I was 21 years old, so pretty short time. And there's reasons for that. But overall, I guess we'll start from the beginning. It was a great experience. But let's cut to the very beginning of things. So there is a website out there for government employees that I applied to. No one in my family thought that I was going to get this job. Nobody in my friend group or coworker group, none of them thought I was going to get this job, but I did. So basically, I got an interview, and it was like 6 months out, which was actually the soonest that they could get me in. So I waited 6 months, and then I went to Colorado, specifically in Denver, and I interviewed with a TSA officer, which is, you guys are probably wondering which agency I worked for. It's the Transportation Security Administration. The TSA, you see them at airports doing security checks and whatnot. So that is what I did as my job. But I went there, I interviewed with a TSA agent and someone from like the home office, or not, I don't think it was a security director of some kind, but it was someone else. So it was a two-person interview with me. And yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking, to say the least. I mean, you got two people that are determining, your dream job, basically. So I passed the interview. They let me know not not too far after that, not too long after that. I don't remember exactly, but it was like a few days or a week or 2 weeks, something like that. Something pretty quick as far as turnaround goes, if I remember correctly. But at that point, I was here in Kansas, and I actually moved out there late September of 2018. And then after that, the following month, because I was there for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I believe it was 2 weeks. So I was in Colorado for the first 2 weeks, and then I I went to the home office there that they have. I did some training. I met the federal security director of the agency, and yeah, they flew me out to Georgia for a training, and training was it was interesting. It was really hot. They flew me out to Glencoe, Georgia, to what people call FLETC, which is FLETC. It's the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. So I was there with other agencies as well. Now this is not the only agency training grounds. I saw a squirrel right there, but this is not the only training grounds for federal agents. There is another one, I believe, in Virginia. Now, it does depend on which agency you're working for as to which training ground you're going to. But for me, I was there for, I believe, 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks in Georgia. So it was interesting for sure. They put me up in a hotel, and I was eating like Burger King every night because we didn't get dinner. We only got breakfast and lunch because our shuttle came around like 3 o'clock, I believe, and took us back to the hotel. So I was in a hotel room by myself. Everyone had their own hotel room. So that was a time. But after we got flown back, while I was there, I was training, and I had to obtain a certificate in order to progress through the process. So basically, they set it up to where you interview, you go to the location, and then they fly you out to the training base. You have to pass training before you actually are able to become a federal agent. And when I was doing training, it was very nerve-wracking on that part too. So they hand you a certificate at the very end, but you don't know if you passed or not until like the very, very end, because they line up people outside the room, and one by one you go in by yourself to see if you've passed or not. And if you didn't pass, well, that's the job opportunity gone for you, and you have to go home. So I really did not want that to happen, because I just moved all my stuff to Colorado. So luckily I did pass, and I started the job there at the airport, like after I got back, and it was pretty nice, and there's a few pros and cons here and there, but pros wise, like, you're a federal agent, you have like this custom like vest you can wear sometimes, or it's more of like a jacket, more of like an FBI kind of thing. It shows on the back, it shows the agency letters on the back, so it was pretty cool. But basically my job entailed, like patting people down, so I was, like hands-on touching people, which is kind of gross sometimes, but sometimes people are like, well groomed, but sometimes they're not. So yeah, that's happened a few times, but that's what I did. And I also assisted with canine support for when we would rush customers, or not customers, I'm so used to the retail world now. When we would rush passengers through, we would use a canine to screen them, so we could do them in pairs of two. So we just rushed them through there, dog went around them. So I assisted with that process. I screened bags. I did basically bomb searches on bags. That's what I did for my job. So it was a little scary sometimes, because you might see something that looks like an explosive, but it's not an actual explosive. And then there's also a team that would come in and test us, like part of the agency, that would come in with explosives, but they're not like live explosives. So when I was in Georgia, I was trained how explosives operate. I was trained how they're made, like what the whole like components are of them, how they initiate, all kinds of stuff like that. So I was taught a lot of information like that is sensitive information that I can't share anywhere else. I'm pretty sure I'm still bound by that, even though I don't work for them anymore, because it is just sensitive information in general. But like they train me on a lot of that stuff, and sometimes you'd see something come through that looks just like it, like looks like dynamite or whatever, So in those instances, there was procedures that we followed, which I cannot disclose, or at least I think I can't disclose at this point. I'm not too sure, but so basically, like that was my job there. I came in every day, 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. Like whole shift, and then I had like a small break where I was able to like eat, and I went to Subway every single day. So luckily, I was making enough money to afford like $7 or $8 like every single day, or maybe it was like $6, but it was pretty pricey for an everyday thing. So that's what I did. That's the situation that I was in. I went in and I was working full time. So I would get up super early, and at the time I was living with someone, and this girl I was living with, she also went to work early too. But it wasn't at the very beginning that it worked out this way. There was another job that was right next to the hotel I lived at, where she would work, just like various hours while I was at work. But then we got a system down in place where I would get up at like 2:30 in the morning, and then I'd take her to work, and then I'd go to work. Because for me, going to work there, it's a whole process. You have to go to the parking lot, you have to scan your way into the parking lot, and then once you get in the parking lot, you have to find a parking spot, which is very hard. And then you had to wait on the shuttle, and the shuttle would take you to the airport. So you had to get there like 30 minutes at least, in advance, just to be able to get there. And then sometimes, to get into the actual checkpoint, there was a couple different ways to do it, but one of these ways was turnstiles, which, like go around when you go through them, but it worked off fingerprints, and it wouldn't always work all the time, and people would end up using their own oils from their skin, like do one of these across their forehead and put it on there, and it's pretty gross. So I made sure to like wash my hands after that, after I would use one of those. It was a very beneficial experience for me. and you know, I definitely would want to go into an agency again. Maybe not that particular agency, or maybe not that particular location. Um, Myself and a couple other coworkers didn't get along that well, so um, maybe a different location would be good for me. But overall, I would say that it was an awesome experience. You know, it allowed me to see Colorado and to go to the mountains and to be able to afford the rent. You know, that's a major thing there. I was paying around $1,600 a month. You know, $1,600 a month just in rent, and this was for originally for like a studio size apartment, if you want to call it that. It was like a hotel room basically that I lived in for a few months. But then after that, I moved to a 2-bedroom apartment for roughly the same price, a couple of $100 more. So, you know, 1,600, it can get you something in Colorado, but you have to have a good job for that. So for me, I believe I was making around 1975 or something, 1925 an hour, something like that. So I was making decent checks, but you know, I was having to pay for utilities on top of the rent too. So overall, it all worked out as far as me being in Colorado. Now, the reason that I left Colorado is because of a procedure mistake that I made 3 times on the X-ray machine when I was scanning bags through. So for me personally, I get overwhelmed when there's a lot of people, a lot of stuff going on, and this happened around Christmas time, so there's a ton of travelers going through. And basically, I let a few bags through that I had marked for search. You know, on the machine, I marked certain areas for search, and I let them go through. And the passengers grabbed the bag and left. And that's not allowed. That's not a good thing. So, you know, I wish that that did not happen. You know, I loved my time out there, but they have a zero tolerance for that. So there was a miscommunication and misunderstanding between myself and the superiors that worked there, because I thought that I had been retrained enough to get on the X-ray machine again, but I actually wasn't, according to them. So that led me for like another strike, and basically I can work there again, at least that's what they told me, but I have to wait 3 years from that time, which yeah, that would be 2023. So, well, no, not 2023. 2022? I think 2022. 2018 to something like that. I'll figure it out later. I'm not trying to think that hard, but yeah, it'd be 2022. Yeah, because I left in 2019, March specifically. But yeah, so you know, it was a great experience. It sucks that I can't, you know, like work there right now, but I liked it. You know, for what it's worth, I liked it. But I would really like to do like the forest agency, to where I'm always around the mountains and everything. That'd be pretty cool. But anyways, that's my story, guys. A really brief kind of like overview of my story. If you guys want more details on things, let me know in the comments right down below. I'd love to share it as much as I can, of course. You know, I can't show you like how to make bombs and stuff, you know, or hopefully I don't get demonetized for saying the word bombs, but that was my job. So, but yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. I always love when you guys come and join me on these videos. So with all that being said, I will see you guys, as always, in the next video.